This is the College Hockey News Insiders Podcast.
Wilmer behind the back, spinorama, he scores! What a goal by Jeremy Wilmer!
Discussion.
Into the net with a shot, he scores! Oh, and Mike goes 4-2, Western Michigan.
Opinion.
Back into the near circle, fires, he scores! Hysteria here in Hockey Valley as Penn State upsets number 2 Minnesota.
Special guests and your listener questions.
The icing is waved and it's over! Western Michigan has won it. The Broncos are the Frozen Four champions of 2025.
Taking you through the world of college hockey, here are your hosts, Adam Roden and Mike McMahon.
Yes, sir. Welcome. Here we are back. Adam and Mike here, as Grady told you. And new year. So did Santa get you anything good?
Me? No.
Yeah, right. Doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah. A little bit of a higher credit card bill than normal for the month of January, probably, is all I got.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so, a lot of hockey under the tree there with all the tournaments going on. So that was fun. And we're actually going to hear from Guy Godowski, the head coach of the U.S. Collegiate Select team, Mike Souza, the assistant coach of that team, and Eric Polkamp, who is the defenseman who probably logged the most minutes that tournament. And I saw him on Saturday after the Maine-Denver series. Maine actually did pretty well. It's another thing we can get into in a bit. But Saturday's game was a tie, and I talked to Polkamp after. But he had played so much, and then he flew back, got in at 9 in the morning to Denver, from Switzerland to Boston to Denver, and that Friday, and then he played. And played a ton, as usual. So
that's quite a bit of travel.
Yeah, it was crazy, actually. He was telling me all of it. But, just obviously great tournament. And so we'll start there before we get, into the specific college hockey nitty-gritty, because obviously a lot of people are paying attention to that without a lot of college hockey games going on. And, you'll hear everyone talk about, I think a lot of people were excited to watch the Spengler Cup because people didn't know what to expect, and it was fascinating to see how it all unfolded, them falling just short of winning that championship against a bunch of teams over there who are from various pro leagues, I guess. The Davos team has 10 ex-NHL players on it, and they beat them once and then lost them in the championship. But I think the most amazing part, you talk to everybody, you'll hear it later too with Godowski and Souza and Polkamp, they all talk about how they were embraced by the local fans there and how cool that was.
Yeah.
That's everyone's saying the same thing. That was the best part.
Yeah. One of the things they said on one of the broadcasts was that within the first day, they had sold out of all of the U.S. Select merchandise. You couldn't get a hoodie. You couldn't get a T-shirt. Everything was gone within the first day.
Yeah, it's funny because I think some people thought no one likes Americans these days, so how will they get treated, And but I think they thought look at these cute kids, coming in here.
It was Rocky. It was the underdog story.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I never even would have thought of it that way in a million years. Really, I didn't expect that team to go there and get rolled over or anything. I don't know. Maybe that was just me. These are good players. There's got a lot of guys that are high-end future NHL players here, going up. I don't know. I wasn't surprised by how well they did.
I wasn't surprised. I thought it'd be a challenge just because you are playing, it's the same reason why guys going from the CHL to NCAA are a little bit it's tougher. You're playing against older guys. So I expect, especially that Davos team, like you said, there's 10 guys on that team that played in the NHL, and not all of them were top 6 forwards or anything like that, but still, they're in the NHL. So
yeah, for sure. But I mean, you guys, it's true, and it sounds like you said. I mean, it sounds, yes, they were still in the NHL. But if I had to, when I was thinking about it in advance, I'm like, well, Leo Komarov was, sort of a bad fourth liner for the Islanders last I saw him, and and he's
that's true. Yeah,
and he's 7 years older since then. So
yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean. I'm not taking anything away from that, but I mean those are guys sort of at the end of their careers and older. So I don't know. I did. And the guys that are on the U.S. Selects team were our future NHLers. So yes, they're at a disadvantage in some ways, but it wasn't like they were going up against the NHL All-Star team. So
no. And some of the guys, I think, were still a little bit younger, like Zadina, was one of their better players, arguably their best player. I don't think he leads them in scoring, ironically enough, but he's in his mid-20s, and the kid Asplund, who played a little bit for the Sabres, I think is still in his 20s. But yeah, it's younger players that didn't want to keep playing in the American Hockey League or didn't want to keep going up and down. Like that's what Zadina was doing. He was kind of up and down. And then it's some older guys like Komarov or Brendan Lemieux, I think was on that team, right? Last time I saw him, I think he was probably getting suspended. He seemed to do that a lot. So, but yeah, it's still, I expected them to be competitive. I don't know that I would have predicted them to go to the final.
Yeah.
But even the Canadian team has quite a few AHL players that traveled over to Europe, right? So and the Canadian team, was one of the teams that beat them. So
yeah.
They
beat them, but I thought the US outplayed them in that game, honestly.
I thought so too. Yeah.
So, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, I thought it would have been a shame had they not beaten that Davos team the first time, because then they would have been 0-2, and that would have felt like kind of unfair. Given how they played, right?
Yeah.
And then they, through luck of the draw kind of thing, they qualified as a semifinalist right off the bat, so they didn't have to play that quarterfinal game. And so, and then that team that they played was certainly handleable. So I don't know. I guess it didn't shock me, but I mean, this is again not taking away from anything because it was cool, and great that the Swiss people backed them. I was joking. I wonder what would have happened. I think they're going to be invited back again. I mean, not the same players, but the U.S. Collegiate Selects will have a team, right? I mean, it sounds like they want them, but I don't know if it'll be like next year or the year after, but it'll happen again. But I wonder how, how open arms they would have been if the U.S. won that tournament.
That is a good point. Yeah, I know. I kind of get the sense they want it to be an every year thing.
Yeah.
I don't know that it will be, but yeah, I kind of get the sense that they want it to be.
Yeah, I mean,
at least the people on the college side of it.
Right. It might be tough logistically. I don't know, but it also they have to get invited again. So I mean, not that they won't. So, but I mean, maybe I don't know how it works. It wasn't really I always knew the tournament existed, but I mean, there was never really any reason to pay attention to it. So I'm not sure how it works exactly. Like, do they rotate around teams or? Meanwhile. Like I said, we'll hear from the participants there in a little bit. But the World Junior team not faring as well, and losing that quarterfinal game. First they lose to Sweden, then they lose to Finland, and Sweden winds up winning the gold medal. Sasha Boumedienne, one of the 3 NCAA players to win a gold medal there, so that was nice for them. He had the game-winning goal, as a matter of fact. And we have a story on our front page of College Hockey News about all that. Canada winds up winning the bronze, and they have 6 current NCAA players, 1 future one, I suppose, and as long as it doesn't change the commitment with North Dakota. So, we should say, like, everyone's wringing their hands. This happens every year. Like, oh, the U.S. didn't win, just won 2 in a row. I've heard like, oh my God, Bob Motzko is not as good a coach as David Carl. I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm not. They may or may not be, but I'm not going to base it on that. I mean, they basically lose a game with a team that, everyone knew did not have as higher end guys as they had in a few years past, right? Especially the goaltending, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that might have been the difference. And Shane Malloy talked about that with us a couple weeks ago. And, again, Canada falling short again, and just winning the bronze medal. But, again, like, I saw all the hand-wringing today, like, oh, my God, Canada, their development model is down the toilet and everything, and they can't pick team. I mean, it's like they lost 1 game.
1 game. I mean, and it's one of those things too, where it's like, look at, I don't know. I think it's 1 game, and that Czech team plays hard, and they're kind of heavier. Like they almost play older than they are. They played like one of the oldest teams in the tournament.
No, they were a good team. They were fun to watch, and I think that goalie Orslak was there last year, so I think he had the experience. And Nestrasil, UMass player who was there, he had a good game. The hand wringing that goes on every year is sort of gets repetitive after a while. I did, our Topher Scott, who I have a lot of respect for, did post something on Twitter today about how their participation is down in Canada, because he was talking about things like, you got pay to play at the youth level, profit center teams and that kind of thing. And participation is not as high. But I mean, and those are good points, believe me. And those are very good points. But the U.S. is in the same boat.
Yeah, I think that's a story everywhere. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, so I don't fault that for, why, Canada's going down the tubes. Because, I mean, you look at the draft lists are pretty Canadian heavy still and that kind of thing. So they lost one game, and the fact is that while that is a problem, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, in the U.S. and Canada, I hate that, right? I know you do too, like just that craziness of youth hockey and how it shuts some kids out. But that is a problem unto itself, but I don't think that's I think everyone's just getting better all over the world, which is good.
Oh yeah, I think from a competitive standpoint, you're right. I think the other countries are getting better for sure. The participation numbers are an issue. Like I don't know if that's an issue with these teams though, because we're talking about like the 20-something best players under the age of 20 in each of these countries. Like if participation numbers were higher, would it still be those same 20 players? I tend to think probably.
You never know. You never know what kid couldn't afford to play.
There's one or two different guys, but I don't know that it makes an enormous difference. It's an issue for the game overall. Like I definitely agree. It's an issue with the game overall. But I think you're right. I think in part it's just because everybody else has gotten better.
Yeah, and our good friend Gavin McKenna actually had a good tournament, so I can't say anything about that. I was getting texts from Shane all last week. I think I got one text that said McKenna 5, Woden 0.
Oh, yeah.
You'll hear me mention
that.
He
said that. I actually talked to him today, and he did mention that. Yeah.
You'll hear me talk to Guy Godowski about that in a bit. And again, just to reiterate the things I've said a million times on here, I certainly never doubted his skill level, and most of the stuff that I was talking about with him was stuff that's certainly fixable, and we're splitting hairs on, again, made clear that he's a great player. I was just comparing him as a number one overall prospect to other recent high-end college players. But he's a different player in a way. Like the kinds of things that maybe he needs work on are things that are very fixable. So, I mean, I think that's the common theme. And when he was playing at that level in the World Juniors, I mean, you could see that, I thought he was playing a lot more aggressive than he has in the NCAA at times.
It's funny, man. I was going to say, I thought that too. I thought he looked more, I don't know if comfortable is the right word or confident. Either way, he looked different.
Yeah. No, because the thing I wanted to see out of him and what I, expected to see, I guess, before I really knew anything about him, was just to sort of take over games, just be everywhere. And that at times, again, he's been a little more perimeter at 5-on-5, but the skill level is so off the charts, and the vision and all that stuff that everyone we've talked to says, don't worry, he can work on those things and just get, like you said, get more comfortable. So, while it may not have come immediately like it did for Celebrini, it will come. And I think if you're a scout, if you're an NHL scout, you can look at that and say, he still deserves to be the number one. But that doesn't mean that necessarily, like for Penn State for this season, he may not put up that, those giant numbers that some people had assumed. So, You know what I mean? Those are two different things in a way. Like, as a projection, you can say, hey, all those things that we're criticizing are totally fixable and he'll figure it out. That's true, but whether that leads to, a dominant year in college hockey for the purpose of like Penn State's wins and losses, you know what I mean? That may or may not happen. We'll see. And speaking of which, though, I meant to say, I mentioned this to Godowski, but it was nice to see Aiden Fink return in the Spengler Cup because that's huge for them.
Huge. It's huge. Yeah, I think when we think about Penn State's first half, that's one we actually are not giving enough credit to, is just the number of games that he missed. He missed 7 games, which is almost half of their game. He's played 18 out of 11 games.
So, they haven't played since like the first week of December?
Yeah, and he hadn't played since he'd been out since October, right before Halloween. And, he came back, and I think it was kind of funny, right? Because he had the opportunity out there to shake some rust off a little bit and then kind of come back and he wasn't limited, at least from what I saw over the weekend. You look at his minutes played against RIT. He played on over 20 minutes one game, and the second night he played just about 20 minutes and had a goal and an assist. So it looks like he's picked up right where he left off before he got hurt, which is going to be huge for them because that's it just gives them such a much more of a different dynamic if they keep that Serrato, DeMarsico, Wybush line together. Now Fink and McKenna can kind of anchor that. I don't want to call it the second line, but like the second of the top two lines type of thing.
Yeah, right. No, definitely. All right. Well, that's as we'll have more chat with those three guys I mentioned earlier here in a bit. But let's talk some college hockey here. So Cornell is our team of the week. We don't have much time to dwell on that. They did sweep Omaha. They are covers our story on college hockey. You just go check it out by the great Jane McNally. But there was a few teams that could have. I mean, Princeton, Quinnipiac both had big sweeps of Dartmouth and Harvard each, and then the other Augustana sweeping Colorado College without Josh Kotai, who was at the Spengler Cup. They had their backup come in who hadn't played all year, and he swept them. So that was pretty huge with Augustana kind of on the bubble of the NCAAs, you know. So I thought that was one of the biggest developments of the weekend. But then all those, like I said, those ECAC teams, Dartmouth losing both games. Remember what I said before on the last podcast that they had – oh, no, did I say that with I might not have said it here. I might have said it with Bernie, but I said Dartmouth pretty much clinched an NCAA spot by beating Arizona State over the holidays.
Was with Bernie because I was in my car this weekend and heard it.
I may want to put the brakes on that a little bit after getting swept by but they're still like seventh even after losing those two games.
Yeah,
to Quinnipiac and Princeton, who are decent teams at least. So. But Dartmouth will have to be careful, or they will have to kind of win a few. But look, I think the ECAC is a little bit top-heavy this year, so they will have plenty of opportunities to win, go on runs in the league. But that group that we're talking about there with Cornell, Princeton, Harvard, Quinnipiac, Dartmouth. Let's keep Harvard out of it for a second. But Princeton's playing great, Quinnipiac's playing great, and Cornell. So. Now, Cornell has to actually play those four teams next. The next four, they play Alaska 2 games this weekend, and then those 4 teams coming up after that. So we'll see. Cornell can keep it up, but anyway, yeah, they're our team of the week. But what else did you stood out? If you noticed any college hockey stuff in the last couple weeks?
Yeah, I think. Well, Princeton, you talked a little bit about them, but I mean, just the fact that the run that they've made, they're now. In a tournament spot from an MPI standpoint, I think they're up to 13. Like they've really been on a run here
12.
lately. It wasn't even just this past weekend. They've been on a super run.
Yeah, Quinnipiac's 10, Cornell's 11, Princeton's 12. So there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, a story obviously just because of where I'm located and who I cover mainly, but the hockey story, like we talked about it in the fall, we continue to talk about it in November. It's not getting any easier for them. They still have some teams that are kind of right on the bubble, but like every time they pick up a positive result, like Maine getting a win at Denver the same night, or I think it was the same night or the night after, Alaska beats Providence, Army beats Northeastern. Like they can't seem to get out of their own way non-conference wise as a league.
There is not currently one team. Well, I guess if Minnesota State's at 14, so if they would also win the CCHA, then the 15th spot would remain open, right? But
technically, that's it.
But UConn is at 15. I mean, that's the highest Hockey East team. Crazy. We'll talk more about that on the other side when we talk about games coming up. But I did want to just mention Maine. I don't know how much if you got a chance to see the Maine game, anything. I was at the Saturday game, as I said, and the Maine handled Denver.
Friday game.
Yeah, the Friday game, Maine. Handled them pretty good. And obviously, they've been the team that we've been, I thought early in the season they would be the best team in Hockey East, and they kind of really dipped. I think goaltending had a lot to do with that. Boya was back in this weekend, looked pretty good. Thought he'll have one bad goal that I saw, but, and to go to Denver and win and tie is pretty good. So does this turn the corner for them?
They've been on a little bit of a roll. Even before the break, they had swept Lindenwood, which in September, I don't think anybody would have said was all that impressive, but Lindenwood has played well and has beaten teams, right? So they beat them. They swept them at home. It was a home series, but still they swept them. I think they're unbeaten now in their last 5. So they've got something cooking. And the thing with them, too, is they've got a little bit of an opportunity here because these are tough weekends, but they're at Providence for 2 and then at Lowell for 2. So they've got 6 straight road games if you include the Denver games from last weekend. It's an opportunity, like with the road win bonus in the NPI, they could make up some ground and do some damage. They probably got to win all 4 of these games to really chip away, in a big way, because they're still sitting at 22. But they'll have an opportunity, especially with Providence, which I think is still slightly ahead of them, and those 2 games coming on the road.
Yeah. So any other big games? We pretty much mentioned pretty much everything. I mean, there was the 2 tournaments, the Desert Hockey Classic, which Arizona State hosts and won. Again, Air Force, Michigan Tech, Alaska Anchorage were there. And the Cactus Cup in Palm Springs, which was won by St. Cloud. St. Cloud beat Lowell in the final of that, 3-2. Yeah. So that was a good job by them. Minnesota State was the other team there. They came in third, beating Yale in the other game. So, but other than that, obviously the schedules have been scarce. It gets back much more this week. They brought some games on Sunday. Penn State got back in action on Saturday, Sunday. They lost RIT 1-0. Crazy on Saturday, and but got the win on Sunday. Colgate and New Hampshire split, so there was some stuff on Sunday, and Western Michigan took care of Notre Dame with 2 4-0 shutout wins. So that was that.
The other thing we should mention is, and I had to confirm that this was correct and not a glitch. Peter Wickstrom Stumer, I think is how you say his name, goaltender at Canisius, made 72 saves.
Yeah.
Against Lindenwood on Saturday night, which, thanks to the stat customizer at CHN, I was able to I believe it's the record for most saves in a 60-minute game. I think the data we have there goes back to 02.
Yeah, right.
So since at least 02, it's the most saves in a 60-minute game. I think it's 5th all time in that span. But I can't imagine, even before 2002, that a goalie made more than 72 saves in a 60-minute regulation game.
I don't know how you put 34 shots on net in a period.
I
mean, that's just I just envision like a guy standing in front of the net whacking away at a puck for like 5 minutes and no one's I don't understand. And what? Canisius won that game, right? I mean,
they won the game 4-3.
Getting outshot 54-12 over the last 2 periods.
Yeah, 75-26 overall. Lindenwood had 7.7 expected goals.
Yeah,
it's ridiculus.
What's crazy is that like Canisius, it's not like we've talked about Mercyhurst struggles and how they haven't won a game. Canisius is 9-2, so the disparity between them and Lindenwood, there really isn't any. And the fact that they kind of dominated like that was kind of weird. But Lindenwood actually managed to score 2 goals in that third period on 34 shots, but could not come back all the way from down 4-1. So yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, and I mean they had 45 shots on goal in the Friday game, so they had 120 shots in 2 games.
This is as opposed to Mercyhurst, who went to North Dakota and had 19 shots combined in 2 games.
I saw that. Lindenwood, though, again, no surprise because Keith Fisher was at Penn State. They seem to be taking a little bit of a page out of what Penn State was, not so much now, but what they were when they first started their program, where they just shot from everywhere. Because I'm looking at the game log here. Lindenwood has had 39 or more shots like 4 or 5 times this year. They've pushed 40. They're regularly over 30. They had 50 shots against Robert Morris back in around Thanksgiving. So they seem to be taking a page out of that the original Penn State playbook. They don't really do it much anymore, but when they were first building the program and they didn't have the talent to match one-on-one against the other teams in the Big Ten, they routinely averaged like 38 shots per game because they just shot from everywhere.
Yeah, you can shoot from everywhere, but it still takes time for the puck to travel to the net, bounce back off the goalie, and then you to go get it again. And somehow you got 34 shots in 20 minutes. I just, it's like watching Bugs Bunny play baseball or something. I gotta go.
It's crazy.
I gotta see the video of that. So anyway, all right, let's break here. We've got 3 different interviews here coming up.
Class, today we're talking men's ice hockey. Open your textbooks. Join thousands of other screaming fans for an in-person experience you have to see to believe. It's the NCAA Men's Frozen 4, April 9th and 11th in Las Vegas. Attendance is encouraged. Passion is mandatory. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/mfrozen4.
How many teams are in the Men's Frozen 4?
Please leave.
All right, welcome back here to the College Hockey News Insiders podcast, and here's our guest trio. First coming up here, my chat with Guy Godowski, head coach of Penn State, and just coming back from Switzerland, where he was head coach of the U.S. Collegiate Select Team. Obviously, I was watching, the whole world was watching. You calmed down. I mean, you had 2 games when you got back this weekend, so are you able to relax yet?
This was a nice week to finally, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been an incredible experience. It really has, both from a hockey standpoint and from a life experience. Going to Davos, Switzerland, and competing in the Spengler Cup, both are bucket list type items, and both were amazing.
Now, this might be a dumb question, but had you been over there before?
I have not.
Okay.
I played in 4 different countries in Europe, but I've never been to Davos.
Yeah, because I know Mike Souza had played in Switzerland for a year or so he'd been there.
Correct.
Yeah. What was the most, maybe, best part or most, that you didn't expect, something that was maybe crazier than even you thought?
Well, I think the best part about it, for me, was the fact that, when, first of all, there was, I think, the expectation that we were going to lose.
Yeah.
It was just how, hopefully, that we weren't going to get crushed. And then also that, I was told that, they might not be as friendly towards Americans or college players, be prepared for that. And in the end, we were competitive in every single game, made it to the championship game. And the most gratifying thing was that the people in Davos really became really great supporters of the U.S. select team. They were chanting USA everywhere we went on the street. They were chanting USA in the arena. Our staff had a chance to go out one night, and in the bar they were all singing USA. We were really, really well received, and it was wonderful to see. And we received great comments of how the team played and how refreshing they were.
Yeah, it's funny because this wouldn't be the first time I was stupid, but I actually thought you guys would do okay. So I was surprised that everybody else was surprised. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we were too. We were curious as well. We really didn't know. Obviously, we weren't going to beat anybody based on experience or, their teams have been playing not only all year together, but for years, many players that their systems are down pat. So we weren't going to out-experience anybody or out-system anybody. It was just a matter of us playing hard and fast, and they did that. They did a really, really good job.
I was talking to Mike about that, actually, the system stuff. Obviously, it's hard you can't put much in the time that you had. So, what was the message? You still have to get guys sort of on the same page, though, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the message is, so what we did is we certainly didn't go out to find the best systems. We went out to implement the easiest to implement system. Yeah. So we weren't looking at what's best. We were looking at what is easiest to implement, and that was really the goal. And I think we did that, and the players, they did a good job of coming together. They were all great players on their own teams. Everybody there plays big minutes, plays in all situations, and there was no
egos.
Egos. No, that's right. That's a great way. There was no egos. Everybody was there for the team. Everybody was cheering everybody else on, regardless of the situation. It was really great to see.
Is that quote unquote easier to do when you just say, "Look, we want to be aggressive. We want to play, fast"? Is that easier to have that quick buy-in that way?
Not sure.
Yeah.
It's what we did.
Yeah, right.
And it worked with this group. I don't know. I don't really have much to compare it to. I've never coached a short tournament before like this with a brand new team, but I'm very. It was the experience of them coming together quickly was awesome. Certainly the atmosphere was incredible, especially and to have the fans start supporting us so well was really awesome. And then just seeing Davos, Switzerland, and being able to experience that was awesome.
You got to coach one of my favorite players in college hockey right now because I'm out here in Denver, and Eric Polkamp is just got to be one of my. I mean, just a great kid too. I mean, his personality off the charts.
Exactly. He's certainly a very visible leader who's got. I love his strengths are powerful strengths. He's a smart player as well, but he can power through you, whether it's defensively or with his shot. And I think the team. I mean, I think him and the team got along great. He's awesome to have. I tell you what, that kid can play on my team any day.
Yeah, the whole world got to see your intermission speech. So I hope hope you're not too embarrassed or anything by that, because everyone loved it actually. But
well, it was just that's obviously new. There was a camera, a tiny little camera, but you don't know when it's on and when it's not. And at the time, it wasn't even in my mind anyway. I totally forgot about it. I don't know what to say about that. I don't think anyone. I think most people thought it was great. So don't worry about it too much. But I mean, whatever you said worked, because that was I thought you guys played great in the first game and lost. I did too.
You know what I mean? And then it would have been too bad, to go 2 and then just to get that. I mean, that was huge, obviously.
Yeah, it was huge.
So
it was really big. Like, we were really happy for college hockey, and so much work. Like Steve Metcalf put in so much work. Mike Snee, along with Sean Hogan, College Hockey Inc., they put a lot of work in for a lot of years, not just this year. Like, it's been a 6-year thing. And for us to have a win like that, and it was great for college hockey. And our number one goal, there was a couple. One is to represent ourselves very well, and to put in a performance where we were wanted back, and I think that happened, and so I was very happy for Steve and College Hockey Inc. and their staff, everybody that worked so hard to give us that opportunity.
Well, the good news at the intermission camps, we got to see you get the puck to Steve Metcalf, so that was cool too.
He deserves it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wanted to ask you about coming back, but first I wanted to just say, I mean, it was great seeing Aiden Fink. I mean, obviously, after his injuries, I'm sure that was heartwarming on a number of levels for you.
It was. It was great to see him come back, and really it was a little rushed in practice. Hadn't practiced really with a team full for, how many months now? But boy, when the lights came on, he was excellent. And I was really happy for him that he was able to do that. I tell you what, he played great for the team.
Yeah. So I'm sure maybe it's not your call, but what's going to happen with going back there, you think, in future tournaments?
So I think my understanding is that they were very, very happy with how the U.S. Collegiate Select experiment went. And I don't know if any papers have been signed yet, but I do know that they're very anxious to have us back.
Yeah. Was that you didn't feel like it was too much work while, your season was going on? Penn State season, it was okay to manage all that?
It was, but regardless, the experience was off the charts.
Yeah,
so
it's worth doing.
It is. I've heard from so many people that have they're NHL people now, but guys that have participated in the Spengler Cup that contact me and said, it's the top hockey experience I've had. So many have said, and when I got over there and was able to see the spectacle that is the Spengler Cup in Davos, Switzerland, I understand, immediately, wow, this is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you seem a little tired, though. I don't know.
Wow. I'm old anyway. I'm tired every day anyway.
I saw Eric, I hear that, believe me. I saw Eric Polkamp after the game Saturday against Maine. He came right off playing 25 minutes over there. He played the whole weekend against Maine. He said he flew in at 9 in the morning on Friday, so I don't know. He's young, though.
Yeah.
Last thing, really, did you get a chance to keep an eye on Gavin at the World Juniors and that kind of thing?
I didn't see as much as I tried to see as many highlights as I could. I didn't get a chance, time change wise, to see much live hockey, but certainly kept tabs on how he's doing. And
this is your chance to call me and other people who've made some criticism of him an idiot because he had a great tournament. So,
look, it comes with the territory, but if you look at it, he's. A couple of things. What isn't it? Isn't it the fourth highest point total of anybody at that age has ever had in that tournament? That's pretty good. you look at the team this year. I mean, there's a lot of forwards that have been first rounders in years last year or even the year before that are 3 years older than him, that he had double, triple, quadruple the points that they did. So I think, I don't. I tell you what, the highlights that I was able to see, he looked extremely good to me.
Well, I can't speak for other people who have written stuff. I mean, just for me, like I was trying to make it very clear that he's obviously a great player. I mean, I was just kind of nitpicking his game. I mean, it's safe to say for anybody, there are things you still have to work on, right? I mean, that's why he's there.
Everybody.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's there to work on him. But, I mean, you see the improvement over the year. He's coachable, obviously.
Oh, he's incredible. Does so many things. But you remember, I'm from Edmonton. I remember when Gretzky was coming up, and Gretzky would see the same thing. You'd be hilarious, the media that would say, oh, he's too small. He can't skate. I saw him get bumped off the puck.
Yeah.
He didn't play defense. Like, well, I feel like that now. Those are the same people I'm listening to now, and it really doesn't bother me.
Well, when he becomes Gretzky, I'll own up to all the stupid stuff I said, so no worries. But thank you for the time, sir. That was Penn State coach Guy Godowski. Now let's get to New Hampshire coach Mike Souza, who was the assistant to Godowski, along with Jason Lammers at Niagara, for the U.S. Collegiate Selects. Man, are you all calmed down now from all that stuff?
It's funny. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, because you had 2 games this weekend you had to deal with too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yesterday was the first day I took a nap in a long time. I couldn't remember. So we were off yesterday because we played on Sunday, and then I went home early and sat down on the couch to watch the Colgate game on my computer and started to doze off. Obviously, still tired.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I mean, I'm sure it's awesome though. I mean, I would have loved to gone over there myself.
I knew it would be a great experience. It exceeded my expectations, to be honest with you.
So even though you had, like you said, you played there a year and you were familiar with the arena, it was still more than you thought. Like, what part of it was more amazing than you thought?
It was a combination of just the experience, but also the way that the city embraced our team.
Yeah.
I don't think they knew what to expect from us. Or the quality of players that we had on the team. And I think that they, were really taken aback at how good some of our kids were and how well they played. And, they sort of captivated the audience there. And they let the kids hear it. I mean, the ovation we got on the day we lost was incredible.
Yeah.
It was really one of the cooler moments that I've been a part of, personally in hockey.
It was
in a loss.
Yeah, right.
Certainly, we were there right to the end, and they made a couple more plays than we did at the end of the day, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like if the Davos crowd would have known how good you were and that you'd beat their team twice, they might not have liked you so much.
They may not get invited back.
Yeah, exactly. So at least now maybe they'll get invited. Is that the plan? Do you know, to go again?
I think that's still up in the air. I would imagine that we showed well enough to warrant an invitation back. I mean, I think it's, I talked to obviously our crew. We were over there. I mean, I think everyone's got different perspective on it. For me, I'd love to go back, but I think it'd be cool to wait a year. But I don't know how that all works. I think once the word spreads, or if it's already spread, I mean, amongst the kids, I think there'll be something that's desired for the kids to be a part of moving forward.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, was it, do you feel like all the prep and whatnot was a lot of work where like it wouldn't be good to do every year, or was it okay?
No, I think it absolutely could be something you do every year. I think it's a lot. I think logistically it was probably a lot for our management people and putting everything together. But, part of that is because it was the first time, right? So there's a lot of things that aren't going to, take or need as much attention in the following years because they've already been done, and literally the first time for everything. Where were we practicing? Where are we meeting? We meeting in Boston. Okay, well, where are we practicing? Or how are we getting the kids there? Or just what best practices to stick with? What which ones throw in the trash can? Which I can't imagine there'll be a lot of that because I'll be honest, it went really smooth. And, from naturally for me, it was easy. I can drive down to Boston, but even the guys who flew in, I think it went pretty smoothly. And then, getting over there. And
so it wasn't too much in terms of just taking away your prep, with New Hampshire.
No, not at all. In fact, what we did was from a coaching, which was a lot of fun. So once we established that, sort of initial criteria to say, okay, these kids, these returning All-Americans are going to get an automatic invitation.
Right.
Which we all felt, or certainly the coaches felt, that there needed to be a baseline for that. And I think that was a fair one because every coach in the country has a vote on the All-Americans, right, from the prior year. So, obviously, naturally, guys are going to sign and move on, which they did. But it gave us a nice baseline. And then we met, Jason Gads and I met every Sunday via Zoom going back to, probably in early September. And, just started saying, okay, let's put a list together. Let's see how this kid starts and not. And so that was fun, I'll tell you. And then, and then getting some guys involved to sort of be, eyes and ears that, extended beyond ours. Some of the NHL guys that we brought involved.
Who were some of those? Were they like scouts or were they GM?
Yeah, like Mark White from Winnipeg, Chris Bork from Toronto,
Gotcha.
Billy Ryan from Montreal. I think Billy's at Montreal now.
Gotcha.
Most of the guys that are doing the college free agents, right? Because they got a pretty good handle on guys that you maybe, like even our kid Lavins, like he's a guy that pops up on their radar, but maybe wouldn't pop up on a lot of traditional or Stockfish or a kid like that, which those guys were good for some of those names.
Gotcha.
We were trying to not just look at statistics and say, hey, these are all the guys we want to take, right?
For sure. I mean, no, it was great. I thought it was a great group. But what was it like? I mean, putting a system in place.
So I think we were all on the same page that less would be more, and certainly that was our theme. And I give him a lot of credit because he stuck to his core beliefs that listen, we're gonna skate and we're gonna use our youth to our advantage and our speed to our advantage. And we're not going to overcomplicate things with systems. And he had talked about that going back to the some of our early meetings, and he stuck with that right through the whole tournament. And I actually think that was an asset. I mean, naturally we had, okay, this is what we want to do. This is how we want our D zone to look. This is what we want to do on faceoffs. But we didn't have 10 D zone faceoff plays or 10 O zone faceoff plays. We gave the kids as little information as possible. And I think that was probably refreshing for them too.
Yeah.
I thought he did an unbelievable job at staying true to that. You're going to have to address via video or on a whiteboard as opposed to practice because we just didn't practice that much. And that's what we did. And the same for the special teams, like we practiced the power play, I think twice, PK twice, and away we go. And that was kind of fun. I mean, obviously we use technology to our advantage a little bit, but one of his great assets is he wants to make plays. You're reminding me a little bit of Coach Humility in the sense that, a little bit, just because he puts a lot of belief in guys to make plays and work above the puck and make sure we had our second guy was skating as well as our first guy and stayed above the puck. And I think it was kind of fun for the kids. They just went out and played.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to see Polka. I see him all the time out here. Not only is he, I think, a tremendous player, but he's an amazing personality.
He was awesome. In fact, I was. It's weird. So he lived with. He had played in CR with like Marty Lavins and Brendan Fitzgerald and Riley Fitzgerald, whose dad Scotty drafted Eric with the Sharks. So I knew about him before I met him, right? Yeah. And I knew he had this like kind of gregarious personality, and he does. He plays like that.
Yeah. But and it's not like he's a jerk about it either, right? It's fun, it's fun. Yeah.
Listen, he's a guy you want on your team. You're going to win with him because he's competitive and he's good.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a throwback personality-wise. I loved it. I loved being around him. His energy was infectious, and he was obviously a huge part of our team. I was kind of surprised he didn't make the all-tournament team. I thought he was one of the best defenseman in the tournament.
Look, he does everything, and he came back here and he played like 25 minutes against Maine this weekend. So,
I saw it. That was the one thing I did was look at the ice times of all the kids, right, that were playing. You know, he's a bull, right? Like he's built like he's so damn strong, and so I think, you know, he. I had talked to a few guys, and then I talked to Scotty Fitz. I said, "Man, that's an unbelievable draft pick." Like that, he was. He wants to be coached too. I don't know what David says about him, but he wants to be coached. He wants, you know, you ask a lot of questions. Which I thought was kind of cool, right? Like
Well, that's what I mean about being outgoing, but not like in a bad. Like, you know, some guys are just kind of, you know, they have that personality. It's like, hey, you know, chip on their shoulder, but he's not like that. You know? So
yeah, no, I really enjoyed being around him.
All right, we go from Mike Souza, his thoughts on the Spengler Cup experience, and we asked him about the guy we're going to talk to next, Eric Polkamp. I talked to him after the Denver Maine game on Saturday at Magnus Arena.
It's definitely a whirlwind. Yesterday, you know, playing, and Bobby really has no excuse. I wanted to play yesterday, and it was a blast of opportunity. Such a beautiful place. I'd do it over again in a heartbeat, and such a unique opportunity.
Yeah, what was your favorite part about it? Because that's something nobody. You're one of the first people to get to do that just for the U.S. Select team. How cool was that, in general?
I really can't explain how cool it was. It was unbelievable, and how my parents came out. That was probably the best part. And they're 60 years old, and they were hesitant on going, and they came, and it said it was a trip of a lifetime. It was absolutely gorgeous. There was kind of like Aspen, and right in the mountain, right in the valley, and it was. The crowd's there. It's a different breed. It's just so awesome. They love hockey out there, and the arena. It's almost like a soccer game. They're chanting 24/7, and it's such a unique opportunity. And we were so fortunate to make it to the final. We lost to the home team, Davos, but I think they had 2,000 NHL games on their team, and that was such a fun game and good experience for me to play against those guys and defend them, and learn from those coaches.
Favorite thing you ate in Switzerland?
Favorite thing we ate. The first meal was awful. I don't know what they served us, but it was awful. But the bread and butter is always so good out there. It's so fresh, that and some good pasta.
They're not known for the cuisine.
No.
I was going to say, are you tired?
Yeah. Each game was,
When did you get back?
So I got back yesterday morning at 9 a.m. Jeez. So I flew in from Zurich to Boston. It was an 8-hour flight.
Right.
And then I had to wake up in the morning at 3:30 a.m., fly from Boston to here, 9 a.m., show up for morning skate. After morning skate...
Did DC ask you if you wanted to play, or
I said
was there any question?
No, I said I was ready to go. Yes, it was an unfortunate result, but it was such a fun game. That was definitely a whirlwind. It felt like, just a big journey.
Yeah.
But
and you must have played over 20 minutes a night, too.
I was playing, I think they had the date up there, like the chip in your back, like ice time. I think it was the highest ice time every night.
So you're tired or what? You maybe get tomorrow to rest a little bit?
I'm going to lay in my bed all day tomorrow.
What was it like playing for Guy Godowski? Probably a lot different experience. I don't know if maybe it wasn't. I don't know, compared to like someone like David Carr.
Yeah, the whole coaching staff was awesome.
Yeah.
It's nice to just get a change up. He's always one of the best in business. DC is, but.
It's not a matter of better or worse, but just interesting to see the differences.
How they play, how their systems are, and the coolest part is getting to know all those players over there. You obviously know all of them, but then we had 5 Cedar Rapids fighters and USHL kids on that team, but getting to know a lot of those Big Ten guys, Hockey East guys. We talk about different teams, different players all the time, and that was cool to see that.
I don't know if someone told you, on TV, they showed Godowski during the intermission throwing F-bombs left and right in the first Davos game that you guys it was that one where you guys came back.
Yeah.
He was reading the riot act, and I don't know if you noticed that was nationally televised.
No, I think they caught me with a couple F-bombs too. You don't even know they're out there. The refs got the mic.
Right.
There's mics on the bench. There's mics in the locker room with the camera.
Yeah.
We covered up the camera, I think, halfway through the tournament, so you couldn't see anything.
The crowd, like you said, was amazing, but the fact that they, like everyone was saying that they embrace you guys, the local crowd there, you became their favorites. Did you guys sense that?
Oh yeah, we would walk out of our locker room, and there'd probably be 40 people lined up waiting for signatures, autographs. I mean, they're hockey fans, but they're diehard. They know their stuff. They know everything about you. So it's just cool.
What was the reason? Did you ever get a sense of what the reason was why they embraced you guys as opposed to one of the other teams?
I think it was just they just want to see a different team, and they honestly looked at us like we were teenagers, 15-year-old kids. Oh, the USA boys! Look at these little guys running around, and it was super cool. I mean, all of our merchandise sold out super quick, and it was nice to see that on a lot of the fans too.
The funny thing was, everyone was saying "Oh, I can't believe these guys did so well." I mean, I actually wasn't surprised. I don't know about you, but I felt like you guys were going to do well. I don't know. It didn't really surprise me.
To be honest, the first game we played Hockey Canada, and they had some good players on the team, really good college players. And we're like, holy crap, we might not win a game here. And then the next night we played Davos, and we gave it to them, and we won, and that was a super fun game. And then luckily enough, we got a bye and played Sparta and beat them, and who knows, I mean, little enough, we're in the championship game.
Get hurt in the game? We tough it out. Feel exhausted? We push on. Feeling down? We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. But there are times when bootstraps aren't enough. When stress gets to us and we need to talk to someone about what we're really going through. So we're going to reach out, because sometimes mental health is not a one-person job. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back here to the College Hockey News Insiders podcast, and looking ahead to the week that is. First, we should mention that talking about the craziness in Hockey East, but Boston University has done it again mid-season, picking up Tynan Lawrence. Now, when we say pick up, I always see some people who are not necessarily college hockey fans. They kind of get like, "Oh, how'd they do that? This is ridiculous." I mean, these are guys that they've already been recruiting, so it's not like they weren't already committed. But they're bringing them in early. I mean, it's certainly a newer trend to do this more often, especially with high-end guys. But, hey, I mean, it worked last year for BU, and they need something right now. There's a 23rd in the MPI, and they got to get it together. So Tynan Lawrence comes from Muskegon. He's projected to be the top center taken in the draft next year. McKenna's a wing, and Keaton Verhoff's a defenseman. So, obviously, a huge boost, but is it enough? Will it be enough?
Yeah, we'll see. It's interesting, too. I don't know. He really rocketed up draft boards in the fall. I think most people kind of had him a top 10, top 15 pick in the summer. And then with the way he played in Muskegon to start the year, all of a sudden he was just shooting up the boards. And there was, I don't know if it was sports. I don't want to name the outlet because I don't remember who it was. I want to attribute it to the wrong place. But somebody had him as one overall in a mock draft right around Christmas. So I wonder if the move to BU from his standpoint was motivated by the draft. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing, but I'm looking at it going, hey, if you think you're going to be in the mix for a top 3 pick and you're up against McKenna and maybe Verhoff, and I think there's a European skater as well.
Stenberg from Sweden.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And you're going to be competing with at least 2 other guys that are playing college right now. I think it's going to help his stock. If he goes to BU and has success right away, it's going to help his draft stock. And it's going to draw comparisons to McKenna.
Sure.
I know people don't want to hear that, but if he goes to BU and has a better second half than McKenna does, there's going to be loud chatter on who
absolutely.
the top overall pick is now.
I'm sure we'll be talking about it.
Whereas if he had stayed in the USHL, I mean, this is not a knock on the USHL. Right. I think that would have been something that teams held against him. Well, yeah, but McKenna did it against college players. Lawrence did it against junior players.
Absolutely. It's an apples-to-apples comparison now. I mean, even though they're not in the same league still. I mean, BU's going to have they play home and home with UMass this weekend. So, and, so I don't know if it's too little too late for BU. We'll see. But
one
Boston,
quick thing too on Muskegon's standpoint, they in their statement today releasing the news, and again, this is what you see from USHL teams. Muskegon said, "quote: We hope this move will help him compete for the first overall pick in the NHL draft. Yeah. Our program will always be about doing what's right by our players in regard to their development." Yeah,
it's they have no choice to be that way, but you might as well embrace it, right? I mean, this is what people are saying about the major junior teams. You might as well start to embrace it.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think the CHL teams are going to come around eventually to what the reality is, but that's what they need to understand right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their job now is to move players onto the NHL and college hockey. That's where their players will be going.
Yep, and Boston College also added Oscar Hemmings, right? So that's and let's see. I mean, I think he jumped right in, had a couple of points already, 2 assists, and they play Stonehill in an exhibition. That's their next game, but then it's Providence home and home the week after. So that that'll bolster them. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think he's quite. I mean, is he projected like he's a top 10 projection? No.
Hemming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen top 10, top 15. Okay. Either way. Yeah, it's somewhere in that range.
So no chopped liver there for sure.
Nope. More first round for sure.
Yeah. So this weekend we'll see a lot of more action again with all the teams. Again, all these sort of hockey's bubble teams. Maine is going to Providence. That's going to be huge, obviously, for both teams. I mean, everything will be for them going forward. As I said, the ECAC. Cornell's playing Alaska this weekend, so they're not playing league games, but Harvard going to Dartmouth. While Princeton has fallen just short of Team of the Week twice now, we are going to have a story on them coming up soon on College Hockey News. I'm sure everyone's waiting patiently. As far as the Big Ten is concerned, Minnesota is at Penn State this weekend, so, Penn State now sort of full lineup back, and we'll see how that goes. Michigan State at Ohio State, and Notre Dame at Michigan. So some of the teams at the top aren't playing each other necessarily. Wisconsin is out of the mix, so it's kind of we'll ease back into the Big Ten monster schedule here. As far as the NCHC, though, there is a monster weekend coming up, which is Western Michigan at Denver this weekend. So that's always huge, given their history the last few years, playing in NCHC finals and NCAA semifinals and whatnot. So. And battling atop the NCHC standings. So that's going to be huge. And then Arizona State coming off, what they have at their tournament, but they have lost Jack Beck. Now, he's the guy, remember, whose brother played there and came in having one of those players who has played some pro hockey. And, quote-unquote, he's a freshman. But he's been one of their best players, and he is now out for the rest of the season. With surgery. So that's a little bit of a kick in the pants for them as they try to struggle to stay in the mix at 25 in the RPI. So there you go.
Yep. Although they're another team that I feel like is definitely struggled at the beginning of the year, but since right around Thanksgiving, they've been as good as just about anybody. I mean, you look at their losses since Thanksgiving at Minnesota Duluth, at Dartmouth. That's it. Mm-hmm. And there's no shame in losing to those two teams that they're playing this year. That includes like a Ohio State sweep, a win at Denver, or a win against Denver, excuse me. So I think they can survive it. When you look at like Beck had made an impact, there's no question. He had 8 points in the 10 games he played, but he hasn't really played this stretch where they've played really well since Thanksgiving. He hasn't played in many of those games. He hadn't played since the 29th of November. So they were doing it without him already. It's a good challenge, but I think that they've been playing well even with him out of the lineup.
Yeah, and according to the Arizona State people that cover them, quoted Greg Powers saying that he's planning to come back next year, so that'll be interesting. Big help for them if he does do that.
Yeah.
So
well, I think he's one of the guys that's probably looking for a contract, and playing 10 games and getting hurt, you're probably not going to get one, right? Or at least not one you like. You might get an AHL deal or something, but you had that already. So he's probably, if he wants to explode,
live the life in college, man. Don't go to the AHL.
Exactly. And look, I mean, he comes back and has a big year next year. There's a possibility he signs an entry-level deal, with an NHL contract. Yeah. So it would make sense for him to come back, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the MPI again, it's we've said it's been taking shape now for a while, but you're really starting to see a picture here with I think the top 5 teams are pretty much can write their ticket right now. It's just a matter of where they'll be with Michigan, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Duluth, and Michigan State. Then Dartmouth is at 6, actually. I said 7 earlier. They're actually 6. They kind of teeter back and forth there with Western Michigan. Are they in good? I think they're in good shape just because of the fact that they will not play a lot of tough teams the rest of the way. There are a few. ECAC has, like I said, the high end, but they should get enough, gimmies on there unless they just fall apart, which I don't see. I mean, it kind of happened to them last year, and people say, "Oh no, here we go again," because it just got swept. But I don't know. I could be wrong. It's all I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't see them falling apart that way again. So, but if they're the one team because they've played fewer games than other teams that they're more prone to having their losses hurt them more, basically. I would imagine Western is pretty safe. Now, Penn State at 8, Denver at 9, and then you get to the ECAC teams at 10, 11, 12. And then Augustana at 13, which I think is going to be very interesting because obviously they're just, in their 3rd year of existence? And, I've never made the NCAAs, obviously, so I think that's going to be kind of a fun one to watch. Them and Princeton, to be honest with you. I mean, looking at teams that never usually make it, I don't think Princeton has ever qualified at large. They might have qualified at large in 2009. That was the fateful year where Duluth scored 2 goals in the last minute, won in overtime to beat them. It was kind of Guy Godowski as the coach, kind of a devastating loss because they had won the 2008 ECAC tournament to qualify. So I think they were at large that second year with Godowski as the head coach. But I remember in 99 they lost the ECAC consolation game, or else they would have qualified for the NCAA. So Princeton Augustana will be kind of fun to watch as they're on the bubble right now, on the right side of the bubble. We'll see if they can hang on to it. Anything else you want to babble about before we get out of here?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it.
There'll be plenty more to talk about coming up, that's for sure. We'll talk more in the coming weeks about the Hobie situation. I should mention that Max Planck got hurt at the Spengler Cup. I don't know what his status is right now. And he's leading our chip rating, probably the Hobie favorite right now. So that is unfortunate for them, but something to keep an eye on,
So I did read with him that Motzko had said had they made the semifinal, he was going to play.
Right, so that's helpful news.
So that's a good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd like to think that means, you'd hate to see that happen to a guy kind of leading the Hobie race and Duluth playing well again, back in the mix to have that happen. So we'll see this weekend if he's able to play. But all right, like I said, we got a lot of time taken up by those interviews with those 3 guys. So we'll have plenty more time to babble in the future. Until then, we'll see you.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of the College Hockey News Insiders Podcast. To submit your listener questions, please send them to @CHN News on X. And for the best college hockey content around, including features, the CHN Team of the Week, stats, rankings, and so much more, visit us at collegehockeynews.com. Until next time, we hope you enjoy all of this week's great on-ice action, and we'll be back to break it down on our next edition. For Adam Woden and Mike McMahon, this has been the College Hockey News Insiders Podcast.